The previous class we were discussing about how this physical environment or this arrangement or the flexible organization that we have or we should have can affect positively and negatively our interactions in the classroom with our students. Okay, and we were discussing about how the heavy metal benches are promoting the teacher-centered and blackboard-centered system of learning. How this space is lacking in our schools, even to even for the children to keep their books and belongings. Some of the students even do not have back support, or the benches do not have back support, which are required for a physical comfort of the child. Okay. And at the end of the lecture, the previous one that we had, the first lecture in the morning, we discussed how important it is to have a proper infrastructure and how it can affect some of them, how it can affect our interactions with the student. And many of you all have given good responses of the experiences that you all had in your school and how the situations were. And most of the experiences are more or less similar, isn't it? Because nothing is much changed even till today. Okay, so let us go ahead. I think we did till here wherein we said that such furniture should ban from such school spaces. Okay. Now let us go ahead. Let us read the first point that the maximum use can be made of available school and classroom spaces as pedagogical resources. Say suppose your school is privileged enough to have proper space, proper furniture, okay, other resources that are required. You need to make maximum use of such available resources. So if you have chairs which can be moved, you have a flexible organization of your chairs and the desk, your classroom desk arrangement, okay, then you should make maximum use of that. So that as a teacher, you need to conduct classes which will be activity based, which will have the students to do something, isn't it? Instead of only you going and talking to the students, it should not be a one-way traffic. Children can be encouraged to participate in activities to make the school and classroom attractive for study, work, and play. So, as a teacher, it's your first responsibility that your primary responsibility as a teacher is to conduct classes for your students. Rest other responsibilities are additional responsibilities which are given to you as a teacher. Okay, but when any individual joins a school, even you all will join a school after 2 years. And after 2 years of service, the same dialogue many teachers repeat, and they say that we are so caught up in our other duties that we cannot focus on the teaching. Okay. So as a teacher, I will not say the amount of overload. I cannot comment on anyone's workload or how much they work there. But our primary responsibility is to do justice with the students who are enrolled with you for a subject, isn't it? It's your primary duty. So as a teacher, it is your responsibility that you conduct activities and do justice to the privileges that are provided to you by a government, by our government, isn't it? So you need to make uh, classes fun. You need to convert your classes into activity-based lectures so that you make that environment, school environment, feasible and conducive for them to learn, okay, or to work or to play. This is for those who have enough infrastructure, flexible organization, who have good privilege, like those are privileged to have all the resources with them. This is for them. Okay. Now we will come to the next part of it. Why is it important to have a proper physical infrastructure? Why it is important to have a good physical environment, to be specific? Okay, the first point here is the structuring of infrastructural facilities is essential for paving the way for creating a learner-friendly and activity-centric context. So the part of the statement which is highlighted in red is very important. So this infrastructural facility plays a very important role, as we have discussed enough on that. Wherein we said that creating a learner-centric and friendly or activity-centric context, it is very important that you have a good infrastructural facilities which will support your thought process. Setting norms and standards, especially relating to space, building, furniture, would help in fostering a discerning sense of quality. Now, there are various norms and there are various standards which are laid down by different policy makers and different policies. Okay, so but the ground reality is very different. But here we let us see what are the norms and standards which are laid down. Let us not look at the ground reality for now. But now at least we should know. Each one of us should know what are the things that we deserve and what are the things that each institution or each school needs to have. So let us see the norms and standards which are laid down by the policy makers. Now the first norm is related to the space. Okay. Space norms are related to the age, to group size, the teacher-child ratio or the teacher-student ratio, and the nature of activities to be carried out. Now, in relation to space norms, well, there are different policies, okay, which talk about how big the school should be, how big the classrooms should be, isn't it? So all these norms that are laid down related to space are in a way related to various factors like age, okay, group size. We'll of them in detail. So first one is age, the second one is group size, okay. Um, Then the third one is teacher-child ratio and the nature of activities. Now let us take the first aspect, that is age. Now when you talk about age being one of the factors, uh, I'll give you all an example, or I would ask you all a question wherein I want you all to answer which age group would require more space. Okay. Say suppose if you're having a school, a pre-primary school and a college. Okay. Ideally, in relation to age, I just wanted to check how much you can relate this, your understanding about it, to the concept that you are dealing with. Which of these two schools, that is, the first one being pre-primary and the second one is college, regular college. Okay, I'm not talking about professional colleges. A regular college. Which one of the two schools would require, two institutions would require more space? Awaiting your answers. Okay. And if you're saying it is college or pre-primary or whatever that your answer is, you need to give a justification for that, saying why you feel only college requires more space than pre-primary or pre-primary requires more space than college. Okay, so those who are saying pre-primary, why do you think pre-primary requires more space? If you wish to unmute and talk, that is also allowed because sometimes it's difficult to type such a long answer, isn't it? Joanne is asking, are we talking about the space with regards to classroom or the institute? Generally, yeah, we can talk about classroom in a way for now. Okay, Shivani is saying regular college because there are more number of students, okay. Steve is saying college because the learners will be bigger in size. Okay, and as we are mature, we develop a sense of personal space. Fine, a very good answer. Okay, Greta is saying pre-primary because they are not still and kids need to feel relaxed. Okay, Opera is saying in a college there are different subjects. Okay, so we need more space. Fine. So there can be several views, and okay, Arya, there are many views coming in. Pre-primary would require more space because the activities conducted like playing would require considerable space. Janice is of the opinion that pre-primary because they are new to school environment. Lindsay that also for pre-primary. Joanne Dice is pre-primary again. Okay. So now, thank you for your responses. It's good to hear from you. Uh, Now, here the discussion is not about, or we are not the policy makers, nor the decision makers to decide how much space to give to pre-primary or how much to be given to college. But the idea, or the reason behind this discussion is uh, to know that there are various reasons because of which each factor is given different space norms. Okay. Now, what are those space norms? For that, we need to read the policies. But yes, these space norms are based on several issues or several reasons that each one of you have mentioned in the chat box. The same or more similar kind of reasons are put to put for each age category, that is pre-primary, primary, high school, okay, secondary, the same thing, and the college level. And accordingly, the space norms are mentioned. So there are several space norms which are related to the age. There are space norms related to the group size, space norms related to teacher-child ratio, space norms related to the nature of activity. So the answers that you all gave were a combination of all the factors that were put here on the screen, isn't it? So accordingly, same discussion goes on within the members of the policy makers or the experts in the field, and they come up with safe norms, and which are a part of your policy documents, education policy documents. Okay, here today we are not supposed to discuss about it because more in detail we would discuss in the coming topics, the coming lectures that we'll have. Okay, so but there are something called space norms which are given which are justified based on the reasons like how we have posted here in the chat box. Now the second aspect, that is building. Building is, there are certain norms in relation to building as well, the school building, the institute building. Okay, building materials, architecture, and craftsmanship are also location specific and culture specific in relation to climate, ecology, and availability, while safety and hygiene are non-negotiable. Now, whenever a school building is under construction or any school building is approved, there are various factors that the government or the institution or the stakeholders of the institution need to take care of. Like what kind of a material is being used. Now, building material relates to the safety of that building. Okay, architecture, how it is built. Okay, how much space is given to which class, how would the building look like. And craftsmanship, how nicely is it made, whether it is attractive or not. Okay, everything related to that. And all these three aspects again are specific in terms of two contexts. The first one is location and culture. Now, I'll take an example for this particular uh, what you say aspect or a factor or a norm, that is building. Uh, have you any time, if at all, even if you have not visited any schools in the north or where there is a snowfall, okay, how do you find, is there any difference between the school buildings which you find there in the north or in the snow falling regions and that of our regions, or maybe you can take our example of Goa? Is there any difference in the school building or the kind of a building that exists there as a school? Have you noticed sometimes if you even if you have not visited any yes, even if you have not visited any school, you must have seen it in movies. Okay. So based on that, if you could comment something, yes. So for those who are in for the schools which are in the north or snow falling regions, they would take care of thermal insulation. Yes. Anything else that you noticed? Culture specific, that also is a part. The kind of a culture they follow, that also matters. Now, what according to you is culture? This is a very beautiful term. Culture. What is a culture? What do you understand by the term culture? We say, no, we use this term very often, saying that culture of that state is very different than ours. What is the meaning of the term culture? Are you all there or hungry? Some of you all must be having your food even. Okay, fine. Arya Prabhupada is saying the way people live and celebrate. Okay, a part of it. Anyone else who can comment on what they understand by the term culture? Okay, Joanne is saying regional heritage and living. Okay, dress code according to NC. Dhanashree saying practicing the ritual is fine. Okay, okay, fine. Taslim is saying the custom. Very good, Taslim. The custom, ideas, beliefs, very nice. After I saying a characteristic behavior of particular group of people, fine. traditional traditions they follow, dualizing culture includes everything from how we behave to what we do in a society. Then we think practices that are particular. Riya is saying when a certain group of people follow a certain way of lifestyle customs. Fine. Culture is an umbrella term of all the things that you just mentioned. In addition to that, there are so many other parts or other aspects related to a group of people, which could be covered in a term called culture. Okay. Yes, it would include dress code, it would include food, it would include the living, the lifestyle, their thought process, their ideas, the way they think, the way they behave, the way they what the rituals that they perform, everything. Okay. So accordingly, based on what a culture is, based on where the school is located, the building needs to be constructed, taking into consideration these two aspects. Okay. In relation to again climate, ecology, availability, okay, while safety and hygiene are non-negotiable, but this is a sorry state wherein many of the schools still do not have toilets. Many of the schools do not have proper hygienic hygiene. Not proper hygiene is followed in the schools, isn't it? How many of you all have heard the case of midday meal? Midday meal is one of the programs. Are you all aware of it? Midday meal program. Heard of this program? Yes. There were many cases related to this midday meal wherein every other day the news was coming wherein they were saying that they found something in the food which was being served to the students. The contract which was given to a lady for preparing that midday meal for the students in a particular school is not putting a good quality of material or the ingredients required. Something fell in it. So there were so many cases that were coming in, and this is again a part of that hygiene part in terms of food and safety, if you consider that aspect. But even if you consider safety and hygiene in general in relation to the school conditions that prevail, it is not up to the mark. Okay, and we cannot complain totally because it is not only the failure of the policy makers but also the stakeholders who are at fault because they have to take care that they are doing the right thing for the students and they are making the best use of the available resources and the available policies for the students. Okay, but this is not a platform for us to discuss that. But just because it came to my mind, when we talk about norms or when we talk about standards, we need to take into consideration the people who are behind this, the people who set the norms and standards. Sometimes the people who are behind this are those who have not even visited a village school even once in their life. Sometimes they don't know the practical, the ground realities that exist. They don't know the difficulties of the students. Many of the students do not have proper roads, they do not have vehicular transport, they do not have means by which they could even reach the school. Isn't it? Many of us are aware of it. We listen, we hear the stories, isn't it? There are so many things which are not happening the way it should have. Okay, and it is a long process. We cannot expect it to happen in a few years of time. Okay, but that is one of the things in terms of norms we need to take care of that. Which if your building should be hygienic, your building should be safe for the students. It should be location specific. It should be culture specific, isn't it? Then when we were just talking about the toilets, isn't it? Which is again a hygiene aspect of building. Wherein we say that low-cost toilets are plentiful. There are various schools who have opted for low-cost design for toilets, wherein the main idea is to not have a very five-star facilities for the students. Okay, but instead giving them basic facility or basic requirement. Okay, because many girls, if you look at the gross enrollment ratio, the enrollment of girls is very less in the villages. The reason being is they do not have, this is a common thing. I'm not telling you all my opinion or my understanding, but this is something which is uh, being read and being shared in the seminars, in the webinars. It is a part of the policy documents if you read them very deeply. Okay, so it's important to know that many schools or many girl students are not joining the school because they do not have toilets in their school and they find it uncomfortable, isn't it, to join the school. This is the case in many of the states of India. Now, there are various norms in addition to the space, in addition to building, there are norms related to furniture as well. Norms must be related to age, nature of activities, again, same like our space norms, with preference given to easily relocated, expect, except in case of laboratories and other specialized spaces. So they have given an exception to laboratories wherein you need to have a fixed structure to the laboratory because you need to keep the equipment, you need like a fixed position, a permanent place wherein equipment will be safe and the apparatus will be kept properly, and the other aspects. But in a classroom, we need to see to it that the furniture should be something which can be easily relocated, like the ones which we were talking in the morning, where we said that we need to have individual benches, individual desks, which shouldn't be heavy. We should not opt for heavy metal benches. We should go for some light furniture the children can handle. Okay, there are various cases even in this wherein when the students fight, isn't it? They fight during the interval period, and some when they just dance around and when they shout, when they play with their friends. There were many cases in the schools wherein the heavy metal benches they fall on the students and there are major injuries. Okay, so such cases. So all these cases actually lead us to think about where actually we are heading, whether we are really following the norms or not. But this is what the policy says. We need to have a easily relocatable furniture. Now, when we talk about equipment, there are again norms related to the equipment as well. Lists of essential and desirable equipment, okay, it includes books as well, should be specified, emphasizing the use of local materials and products, which may be culture specific, low cost, and easily available. So it is important that each school should have essential and desirable equipment. Many of the schools, I can only talk in terms of my perspective of science laboratories that we have. Many of the schools do not have proper microscopes, if many of the science teachers do not even take their students in the laboratory. I don't know how all of you all can relate to that, but I've seen many schools when we visit for lessons in many schools of Goa. Okay, we go to now North Goa, South Goa as well. There are various schools wherein the students till 8th standard they have not seen the laboratory even once. They don't know what is a microscope, how does a slide look like. Okay, they have not seen the laboratory. They have not experienced what is it like working in a laboratory. Okay, so it is important that equipment norms, as per equipment norms, it is important that all essential and desirable equipments should be there in a school. Okay, they should be culture specific, they should be low cost, and they should be made easily available to the schools. And why many of the schools are not having this basic facility or the basic requirement is that the stakeholders of the institute are not bothered. Just imagine if you enter a school wherein the laboratory is not established, the laboratory is not functioning. Okay, the students have not visited the laboratory. They don't know what a cortical flask looks like. They don't know what test tube looks like. They have not even seen them anytime, and they have reached the 8th standard and 9th standard. And if you enter a school like that, it is your responsibility instead of blaming someone else. It is your responsibility that you go for and find out the ways by which you can make your laboratory function in the school. And this is what many of the teachers are not doing. They are just following the system, they're just following the herd. Isn't it? So it's very important that as a teacher we need to look at it. Okay. And there are various norms associated with that, and this will be known by the teachers only when they read the policy, or at least make an attempt to understand what is it that they deserve, or what is it that the students deserve. It's very important that the space norms, furniture norms, equipment norms, norms related to the building should be known by each and every stakeholder. And this is the reason why it is a part of our syllabus. Time. Time is another norm which is again very important. Now let us see how it is important. Now the need for location and age specific norm also apply to timetables and seasonal calendars. Okay, now the holidays here in states like Goa, Maharashtra, are very different than the ones from North India, isn't it? Because mm, the seasonal changes, so the seasons are very different. Same thing if you consider, and if you relate not only in India, if you go outside, a foreign country, their holiday pattern, their vacations, the way they function, the number of working hours are very different. Okay, their timetables are very different. Okay, their location is very different. Uh, Now, why it is so different? Because it is based on where the school is located, what are the which age groups are enrolled, which age group of students are enrolled in the school. Okay, which area does the school is the school located? So all these things play a very important role. Now, say suppose you are planning to start a school uh, in a very remote area of Rajasthan. Okay, just imagine. And now that this is a place wherein the students do not have transport early in the morning to come to the school and reach the school by 8 o'clock. Okay, so it is the responsibility of the school to alter the timetable and make it feasible for the students and see how they can be because they do not have transport. Many students walk and come to the school. So it is important that the norms related to the time should be followed in accordance to where the school is located. So these are the things which all of us need to pay attention to. So likewise, there are various other norms associated with the physical environment of a school, isn't it? Some of them only are mentioned here. Few are space norms, building norms, furniture norms, equipment and time. So this was all about our physical environment of a school and a classroom, and we have seen so far how it can affect positively and negatively, can how its effect can be there on our interactions in the school, isn't it? So in the next class, we will focus on something called psychological environment. Okay,